Hey guys, welcome back to this week's Puller, as Josh would like to say.
What are we reading?
And before we get started, guys, we just wanted to say thank you for all the support we've been getting. The last week's videos got a lot of views, a lot of likes, some good comments, so some traffic's been created, a lot of new subscribers, so we really appreciate it. And without further ado, we are going to get right into it. It's Captain America #2 by Ta-Nehisi Coates and Lionel Francis Yu. And I got to say, Lionel Francis Yu is at the top of his game on the art in this book. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I think Lionel Francis Yu complements Captain America more than almost any other book I've seen him on.
I agree. I think that he is the perfect person to have on Captain America.
It was amazing. The artwork's just phenomenal.
Yeah, and I've seen Lionel Francis Yu kind of like slack sometimes and then do really well other times. This one, you can tell he's putting his all into. So anyway, this one is Ta-Nehisi Coates again, obviously, and one of my favorite things about this book was just like the duality between Cap and Nuke. How they're both characters that represent the American flag, but one goes about things one way, Cap goes about things the other way. Now he's starting to question himself, and why is he fighting? What's he fighting for? As Dallas kind of told me, it's like a deconstruction, and it is a bit. But again, this is one of those Cap runs that is starting to be reminiscent of Ed Brubaker's run for me, and it's really exciting, and I'm loving what they're doing. I love that they're still addressing the fact that Secret Empire did happen. They're actually even addressing back when Sharon Carter was trapped in time, which is why she's older now than she used to be and stuff like that. So I like that they're rewarding longtime readers by saying this continuity still exists, but they're also, they're taking Cap in a new direction, but it doesn't feel like it's not in the realm of Captain America. This feels very true to the character of Steve Rogers that we've been that we're used to, and there's a lot of introspection on Steve Rogers' part, and I think that's one of the best parts to read about, because he's a man out of time,
One thing I was completely worried about with this book was Ta-Nehisi Coates. The only thing I ever read that he's done was Black Panther, and I was kind of like, okay, well, how would he do with Captain America? Which I don't understand why I was kind of questioning that. That seems like they go pretty good hand in hand, and he's actually doing a great job on writing for it. And I do respect the whole fact that they are addressing Secret Empire, that it happened. And matter of fact, I would say that this would probably be the perfect storyline to follow after Secret Empire. Yeah. It's definitely dealing with the consequences of what happened and how Cap is trying to recoup from that happening and how to save his name, which is great.
Some of my favorite stories are, as you mentioned, I point out the deconstruction and the duality and looking in on yourself. Like Daredevil's Born Again, I love that series, and it's the same type of thing, and funny enough, it involves Nuke. But this one, he's basically questioning himself, and that's the best part about a hero, when that takes them back to their core, and they're like, do I even believe in myself? So I'm absolutely loving this one, and I'm not a Captain America fan, and I'm loving it. So
yeah, for me, I don't know which one I like more. They're very different, but as we were talking about, I don't know if I like Nick Spencer's Spider-Man right now more, or Ta-Nehisi Coates' Captain America right now. They're very different types of books, but that's what I want from my Spider-Man, and this is what I want from my Captain America. So without further ado, guys, I'm gonna give it 4.25 Sky Babies.
All right, I think I'll give this one 4 Sky Babies.
I give it actually 3.75 Sky Babies.
Okay, so you're not as hard up about it, but you're still enjoying it.
I know, I really enjoy it. I really don't have any problems with it. It's just, I don't know, it didn't blow my hair back. That's what Jake likes to say.
Yeah, well, it's just one of those books that it's offering a look into Captain America where it's not a bunch of action, but it's just him being...
Hey, you don't have to defend it.
Him being a person.
Hey, 3.75 is still a high rating.
It's not bad. It's pretty good.
So moving on to the next one, I am reviewing Cosmic Ghost Rider #2. The team on this is Donny Cates, Dylan Burnett, and Antonio Fabella, if I'm saying that correctly. I actually had the luxury of reading 1 and 2 back-to-back, because I hadn't read 1 yet. Basically, the way I equate this is the current Punisher run just before this current arc. It's a lot of fun. I'm not going into it for deep inner reflection of the character. It's just a lot of fun, basically, is what I equate it to. It's really bright and colorful. The artwork's amazing in its own right. It's not detailed, but it's unique in its own page, I guess. I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun with it. What about you guys? You guys enjoying it?
I like it. I've liked the Cosmic Ghost Rider character since when he was introduced in the Thanos run.
Oh, so you're an OG fan is what you're trying to say.
No, I'm just saying
I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm not an OG fan. So
I continuously enjoyed the character. It's a fun book to, after you've been reading serious books like Captain America and all these other serious run books, this is a nice one to kind of just sit back and know that you don't have to really put a serious investment into.
Yeah, it kind of breaks the tension. The way I look at this book is it's basically a kid who's getting thrown into a pool full of just a bunch of different colored paints and just he's able to throw it and do whatever the hell he wants with it. This is just a book that's pure fun. I thought there was going to be a little bit of a thematic message behind it when Frank is kind of talking about Baby Thanos about what murder and all this stuff is, and the kid's just asking about it, and he's smiling. I go, oh, okay, so they're going to be like, oh, yeah, Punisher's actually the one who taught him to kill and enjoy it so much, but then they kind of shy away from it. The end is really weird, but yeah, it is a fun little book, and it's definitely a good time to read, especially if you're reading things that are a little bit more heavy-hearted, like a Captain America issue, too.
Yeah, it's a nice balance for me reading Spider-Man, Captain America, which you've equated those two, and this is just a fun read like the current run, so I'm going to tell what I'm going to review it, and I'm going to give it 3 Sky Babies.
Oh, really? I'm right there with you. 3 Sky Babies.
Hey, guys, I'm right there. 3 Sky Babies.
I'll agree.
Yeah, there's nothing great about it, but it's fun to read.
All right, so I read Infinity Wars, written by Duggan, and art is done by Deodato. I was kind of worried about this book because of Infinity Countdown, but coming into this with Deodato's art, and Duggan actually is not doing that bad of a writing on it. I really enjoyed this book. I thought that it moved pretty well. It didn't feel very confusing, and I mean, you can't beat Deodato's art. It's amazing and it's great. Yeah, it's I'm really excited about this. I was kind of worried about it. I said I was going to give up on Duggan if it wasn't good, and I kind of feel like this is actually going to be a lot better.
Yeah, I think Deodato's the perfect guy to have on the art on this book, at least, because his art kind of carries a sense of realism to it, a sense of like importance somehow. Like I just get that feeling from his art, so it's easy to it's. When you pair that with Jerry Duggan, who can be kind of goofy and off the walls with his dialogue, I'm enjoying this a little bit more than I thought I would. I would say though, I think it's almost imperative that you do read at least Infinity Countdown Prime or Infinity Wars Prime before you read this, because you're gonna be lost as shit. Yeah. But then the other things that we were talking about is there are a couple times in this book where certain characters reference having not met or knowing about other characters, and it interrupts my reading by going, is that true, or is that just something that they're making a joke out of?
I feel like that's not anything to really be that hung up on, because it's like
I can't
D-list
help it,
characters.
Though. I can't. Oh, since when is Bullseye a D-list character?
Okay, now I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about some of the other ones. Like, I mean, you got Stiltman in here. You got the Spot. Like, you got all these characters that nobody really ever thinks about.
Yeah, but you have Turk Barrett, who has one of the Infinity Stones, which in my mind is preposterous. But I'm like, okay, I'm gonna let it slide. But then it's like, oh, who's Groot and Rocket Raccoon? I go, wait, hold the fucking phone.
Not everybody has James Gunn directing Guardians of the Galaxy for them across the universe in every single dimension.
Yeah, but how many times has Thanos been a threat to the Earth? You're telling me that characters like Bullseye have also never heard of Thanos?
I would understand more if he had heard of Thanos, but not Rocket and Groot. Because Thanos, I feel like, is this world-ending event that happens every 6 years.
Right. It's like saying who's Galactus at this point. You know. So to me, it's just all it is interrupting the flow of my reading, because I get pulled out and I wonder to myself, is that true? Have they actually never met each other before? Have they never been in the same comic before? But other than that, again, it's just something small, but I can't help the fact that it brings me out of it. The book, it's pretty good. I gotta say, they focus up here a lot more than like as opposed to
Infinity Countdown. All over the place, and it makes sense.
And I gotta say, I love seeing Iron Lad, even if it's briefly. And then the twist at the end, I didn't see coming, but I'm also not completely shocked by it. So
I'm not shocked. I just didn't see it coming. That's why I was like, what? Like I wasn't expecting it. The only thing I have, I think, complaint-wise, I was willing to forgive that because I didn't really notice it until you pointed it out, and I really thought about it. And we had pointed it out on the prequel issue, which was Infinity Wars Prime. The paneling early on was so broken down like it was in the last one, but then it starts to go into traditional paneling, and I was like, okay. Outside of that, I mean, it was a fun read. It was interesting. I'm actually going to continue this series and reviewing it because I'm now interested in this series. I hadn't read any of Countdown just basically because Josh was like, don't. He's like, I'm just reading it so I know what happens.
It was like exactly what I said. Where I'm feeling is like, in Countdown was not needed so you could read this. It's Prime. Infinity Wars Prime is needed.
And the best thing that Prime and this one also did that I thought was actually really cool, and most like team books should do this for people getting into it, is they have a cast breakdown. So it shows who's involved in the book, where the stones are. So
a lot of books do that.
Jonathan Hickman did that a lot when Infinity came out.
And Spencer did it with Secret Empire.
Right. I'm just saying, like, things should continue to do this, because if someone jumps on issue 4 of something, they have no idea what's going on, which issue 4 you would be lost. But at least if you have this breakdown, you can go, okay, I'm kind of grasping the plot here.
Yeah, I will say the one thing that has me the most curious, honestly, is the original universe that they mentioned in here. I won't say who said it or what, but they mentioned this thing called the original universe. Yeah. I really want to see that idea explored, so we will see if if that kind of fleshes itself out. But Josh, how would you rate this book?
I would give it. I'm giving it 3 Sky Babies.
I was thinking the same thing,
I'm
man.
literally
3
same
Sky
boat.
Babies. Yeah.
Yep.
So
All right, that
I
was
enjoyed
easy.
it for different reasons than than Cosmic Ghost Rider. All right, Death of the Inhumans, again by Donny Cates and Olivetti, Ariel Olivetti. Now, this book, I don't know what to make of it. I'm not hugely invested in the Inhumans. I know the history and the lineage behind them being, Kree experiments to be super soldiers essentially, but I will say this book was pretty badass, and this one definitely surprised me a lot more than Infinity Wars did. But I want to see Black Bolt honing his powers, and I don't feel like we're ever going to get that. So one thing that kept crossing my mind is, like, after all this time, Black Bolt has had the same power over and over. Has he not learned how to hone it? Like, has he not learned how to, like, almost spurt out sounds to the point where they're like bullets flying through the air? That's the kind of thing I'd want to see, which is completely regardless of the the overall story. But I don't know. This was an okay read. Not my favorite.
I enjoyed it. I'm to the extent I know the lineage and I know who the main Inhumans are. So I also had the luxury of sitting down and reading 1 and 2 back to back of this one. I'm interested in the story. I mean, it's not boring. It's a little convoluted and a lot all at once. So if you don't know the Inhumans, you'll probably be confused and have to ask people around. But I feel like it does a nice enough job at setting up what's to come to kind of explain itself. I just have name questions at times.
Sure.
The artwork's really good. And there is a twist at the end that I wasn't expecting, so that was kind of fun. Some of the issues today seem to have twists at the end that I was, and most of them I was thoroughly impressed with. So I enjoyed it.
So the M in Shyamalan is Marvel.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. I went with the dad joke.
Yeah, you did.
Before Jake could take it.
Oh, bite me.
Okay. I surprisingly really enjoyed this book. I really don't care too much for the Inhumans, but I do enjoy a really good, badass Black Bolt. Badass.
I think Vox is way more badass than
Vox
Black
is
Bolt.
too, but man, you know how I feel about Black Bolt. If Black Bolt is drawn correctly, I'll buy it. I don't even care. It's just like Black Bolt,
He's got a
for
great
some
design.
reason.
Great character
For
design.
some reason, I gravitate towards Black Bolt. I just think he's a cool character, and I feel like there's moments in this where I was just like, yeah, badass. So I really enjoyed it. I wanted to give this book the second issue because the first one is definitely just kind of a filler issue. This one kind of felt a little bit more like now we're progressing with the story.
They're teeing up a story.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it. I thought the artwork is cool. I like the way the storytelling goes with the narrating, where they're kind of just like as if somebody's telling you the story instead of it being one of the people narrating it for themselves.
Yeah, for me, this just wasn't a memorable issue. It didn't stick with me like the other way Captain America or even Infinity Wars kind of did.
Yeah.
The thing I'm taking away the most of this, though, I think Vox is a badass villain, and I think it's somebody that I think as long as they keep fleshing this character out, don't screw him up with a ridiculously stupid backstory. But right now I'm getting this kind of Joker mixed with Gore the God Butcher vibe from him, and I think that's a really cool combination. So
The
if you can
cover
continue
for this
that,
book is of this character is so
just his character
awesome.
design in general.
character design of Vox is great, but the thing that has me most excited is Vox. I kind of want to see more of this guy. Like I said, Gore the God Butcher kind of meets the Joker. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
So what would you rate it, Josh?
What would I rate it? Okay, I would actually rate it 2.95.
Oh,
Sky
I thought you were
Babies.
going to do that. All right, I'm going 2.75 Sky Babies.
I'm about the same, 2.75 Sky Babies.
I'm going 2.95.
You can't just give it that 3.
No, it doesn't
Man,
deserve
we're
that.
not even breaking it down into quarters anymore.
Yeah, I'm
We're really
going
skimming it.
detailed now.
All right, and the next one we're on to is the Immortal Hulk, number 4, right? And it's by Al Ewing and Joe Bennett, and I got to say, thank God this book feels like it got back on track after issue 3. Josh was saying he thought issue 3 was a bit of a filler issue, and I'm kind of
It
thinking
definitely was a filler issue.
Yeah, but issue 3 you should not
was
already
really
be having.
No,
Really
I think
hard
what they were
issues,
just
you know?
what they were doing was just trying to get you to understand outside of the world of Hulk how everybody else is looking at it. So you kind of understand once you get to this issue what this whole about this whole reporter going for it is.
I agree. I like the idea, just not the execution of
It's
issue 3.
really, if you think about it, you're transitioning from the first 2 issues is in the point of view of around Hulk. And then you get to that filler issue, number 3, and then now we're not going through the point of view and watching Bruce Banner. We're watching the reporter.
Well, now I think this is more through
The story has been
This is more through
passed over.
the eye of Walter Lankowski, which is AKA the Sasquatch. and I actually really got I got a real big kick out of getting some backstory between Lankowski and Banner and being college roommates and stuff like that. I don't know, Al Ewing. As soon as he's got you on that hook, he just reels you in, and he got me early on in this book, so I was just along for the ride for this one. And again, the end, there's a little bit of a twist, but it's one that they kind of telegraph, and I don't think it's really meant to surprise you, but I think it's hinting at the larger story that they're telling here with Hulk.
I don't think it's really supposed to surprise you as much as it's supposed to get you amped for the next one, because now you're like, oh, okay, this is the next issue is going to be really badass.
Yeah, and then of course pairing it with Alex Ross doing the cover art. I mean, this thing is beautiful, and actually the interior art I think was well done too.
Oh yeah.
I think Walter Lankowski, the way he looks when he's not the Sasquatch, is fucking awesome. I'm actually liking this reporter. I think this is the way you bring in new characters. You do this. You don't need to vomit up a backstory for them. You give us little hints, and I'm digging that. And I'm loving this series. Other than issue 3, I'm loving this series. So I'm gonna go quickly right off the bat. 3.5 Sky Babies.
I'm in the same boat. I'm actually really enjoying this series. Again, we all felt indifferent about issue 3. Issue 1 and 2, I really liked 1 specifically. I absolutely loved. And this one kind of feels like a return to form. I think it was better than 2 and 3, but it wasn't as good as 1. I still enjoy it. I like the plot. I like how you said you are getting different perspectives, and I felt this one was a mix-up between the reporter as well as
Walter Lankowski.
Lankowski. Which I was not familiar with, so I asked them and they told me who he was. So it was cool that they kind of give me a little drop of information on who he is and where he's from and how he got that way in the background. I enjoyed it. I'm probably giving this one 3.5, 3.75 Sky Babies.
I will say real quick too, I also like that Ewing is giving regional dialect to some of these characters. Like the waitress at the diner, I think she's speaking, it's probably Canadian or Wisconsin, like northern Wisconsin area that they're in, but I love that he's adding that attention to detail.
Yeah. Now, I'm glad it went back to the way it was going, because I had no doubt it was going to, because it definitely felt like the third issue was more of a passing of, now I understand. I think it's passing of a baton, because like I said, you go from the first 2 books and you kind of go from one perspective, and now you're going from another perspective. So now it's the way of transitioning. It's your key change.
I agree.
I give it 3.5 Sky Babies.
All right, we are definitely all on the same. We're on the same page here today.
Yeah, so Marvel's apparently on the same page too, because
they
they have nothing but really
again,
good books.
There's a reason we're not doing the How to Fix the Comic Industry again, and it seems like Marvel's
doing it.
Yeah, they're facing up.
This week has been pretty pleasing until. So now, no, I'm just kidding. We're moving on to our solo issues. We each read our own. This one I read Star Wars: The Last Jedi issue 5 by Gary Whitta, Michael Walsh, and Mike Spencer. Basically, the only thing I can say about this book is it's literally the best part of the movie. This comic seems to be literally word for word, plot for plot from the movie. So don't go into it expecting backstory on Snoke or backstory on other characters you didn't get. It literally is the movie adaptation, word for word, plot, cutscene, everything. It was an okay read. I mean, I liked that scene in the movie. That was the best part. So the read was fine. The artwork, something about this style of artwork on this book didn't do it justice. And the best fight scene, I think, in most of the Star Wars movies was so quick in this book. It was all right. I wouldn't go to it generally. The only reason I picked it up is because it was a new Marvel title and I needed one more to be equal. Other than that, I probably would not have read this one. I'm going to give this one 1.752 Sky Babies.
Okay.
All right. I read Deadpool by Scotty Young and Nick Klein, number 3. It's still doing a good job. I like it. It's a good Deadpool run. I'm going to give it 2.5 Sky Babies. Now I'm curious to hear what you guys say about your book, because I like that cover, but the character that's on the cover kind of has me questionable on what you guys say.
There's no secret. It's Dazzler on the cover.
It's a cool cover.
It's Astonishing X-Men number 14 by Rosenberg and Land, and the reason I'm even reviewing this one is because I'm treating it like an issue 2, because it's a brand new creative team and a brand new roster from Astonishing X-Men, which Charles Soule was on originally. This book, I don't know. How do I say? I'm in the middle here.
You're laughing. There were
a couple moments that I thought were good. There were moments that they were referring to the botched wedding of Kitty and Colossus, and now Colossus is like this drunk. So I'm loving that. Beast,
drunk Russian Colossus.
Yeah, Beast is kind of an asshole. Havoc is odd, and I gotta say, the more and more I read Havoc with that stupid ass thing on his head, the more I hate that design.
It's a traditional Havoc design?
Yeah, I hate it. I can't stand it. I can't stand reading it. It looks
Pretty sure
ridiculous.
there's some X-Men fans out there
Oh,
just really hating you right now.
Absolutely, but it looks ridiculous. And then you got Warpath in there, so I think it's a cool team. It's an interesting mix.
like
You
that
got
team.
Forge a little bit. Dazzler's never been a character I cared about, but here I actually liked her. So I'm gonna go 2.75 Sky Babies.
But Dazzler's a pretty fun character. Jake, do you want to lead us out of the show?
Yeah, thanks, Pete. All right, guys. Well, that is all we've got for you this week. Make sure to check out the DC review that we have up on the channel as well. And we will see you tomorrow when we'll be putting up a new podcast, something that we think everybody should be listening to because Comic-Con overshadowed a lot of good information that also came out. So thanks for listening, guys, and take care.